David Horowitz, an American conservative writer whose parents were members of the Communist Party. He himself was part of the New Left, and he now rejects socialism and is a founder and current president of the David Horowitz Freedom Center, edits Front Page magazine, and also founded Students for Academic Freedom, whose stated goal is combating leftist indoctrination in academia. That sounds like fun. He joins me now from Los Angeles. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. We're going to start off by showing a clip you've seen thousands of times, but I think people need to know just what we're talking about in this discussion. So let's play that now, please.
The president of the Muslim Students Association was the first person to ask questions. And I said, you know, before you start, will you condemn Hezbollah? And he said, well, that question is too complicated for a yes-no answer. So I said, okay, I'll put it to you this way. I'm a Jew. The head of Hezbollah has said that he hopes that we will gather in Israel so he doesn't have to hunt us down globally. For it or against it?
For it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming and showing everybody what's here. And you're wearing a terrorist neckerchief.
How do you have any sort of dialogue with someone whose stated aim is to eliminate you and your family from the face of the earth?
Well, you really can't, but we live in a world in which all the forces of civilization are, for example, pressing the Israelis to be in a dialogue with parties in the West Bank and in Gaza that want to kill the Jews and say so in so many words. And on our campuses, this was a rare moment because, of course, I've been at many other campuses and confronted officers and members of the Muslim Students Association, which this young woman was a part of. Of course, they talk in very reasonable, civilized ways if you don't confront them like this. The others were smart enough not to answer that question, but they all would have the same answer. The Muslim Students Association is one of the most privileged, one of the most coddled, one of the most protected organizations on American and probably Canadian campuses. It's an arm of the Muslim Brotherhood. An amazing number of presidents of the Muslim Students Association have become terrorists. Anwar al-Awlaki, for example, was a president of an MSA chapter. There's another organization, Students for Justice in Palestine, which is an arm of Hamas, although the Brotherhood actually created Hamas. So what you have is you have Hamas on campuses pretending to be a religious cultural organization, recruiting, since they're totally supported by the university administrations, recruiting any Muslim who comes, Muslim student, and then they pick out the ones who are politically potential cadre for the Muslim Brotherhood and for terrorist organizations. I have to say, when I come to campus, I have to come with bodyguards. I'm always attacked by the Muslim Students Association because I had the indiscretion to point this out. Yeah. And they're supported by the student governments and by the entire left, because the left is in what I have called an unholy alliance with the Islamic jihadists. And people say, well, they're not all terrorists. No, they're not all terrorists, but they do support terror. The international left, which is virulent, I may say, on Canadian campuses, but also on American campuses, has defended the Hamas terrorists who fired 7,000 rockets into Israel, and then when Israel responded, were condemned by these groups and the campuses across America. The Israelis were portrayed as Nazis, whereas Hamas is literally a Nazi organization. It's indistinguishable from the Nazi party, except for its the cult of Allah. But otherwise, what's to distinguish it? I mean, it's a terrorist organization who in its charter says it wants to obliterate Israel. And in its charter quotes the Prophet Muhammad in his genocidal call to kill the Jews, that the day of judgment will only come when Muslims fight the Jews and kill them, when Jews hide behind the rocks and the trees, and the rocks and the trees cry out, "O Muslim, there's a Jew hiding behind me, come and kill him." When I had that work to have that and did have it removed from a University of Southern California website, official website, that particular saying, the incitement to murder the Jews, the Muslim Students Association said it was religious persecution and got it restored. So that's the world we live in. The world we live in forces, and there are Jewish organizations on many campuses which support this. They want to reach out and have a dialogue with people who want to kill them. Well, and they're in denial. Yeah, and, you know, I think that the world is in a kind of denial about the threat from Islam.
All right, let me stop you there. By the way, I've got to say, I think it's the only time I've asked one question and then shut up for the entire segment, but that's good. I want to take a break. When we come back, I need to ask you some issues about universities, which I naively thought until a few years ago were places of open discussion and learning and exchange of ideas, but then you can probably sell me a bridge as well. We'll be back in a few moments. Welcome back to David Horowitz, editor, Front Page Magazine. Google it on the internet. There's a lot to read there. David, beyond the Israel issue, and we'll speak more about that, I think, but in Canada, at universities, what is happening here, I spoke at York University, when was it, earlier this year, I think, during Israel Apartheid Week, defending Israel, and I had a bodyguard with me. It was a friend who was a bodyguard, but thank goodness he was there, because there was an attempt to physically attack me. That's not usual, but that does happen. But it's not just Israel. Pro-life clubs have been officially closed down, funding withdrawn, physically attacked on about 7 or 8 different campuses in this country. All sorts of groups who oppose the left have found it very difficult.
Right, and administrations do nothing. I mean, it's very easy. The administrations know the groups that are causing the trouble and creating the threats, and they do nothing. And the reason they do nothing is because the faculties are so left. Yeah. The faculty, no administrator can stand up against the faculty. No president of the university can survive a faculty revolt, as Larry Summers showed at Harvard. Yep. And the revolt is always led by, professors who are anarchists, communists, Islamists, and radicals generally. I've written 5 books on this subject. One was called The Professors, to demonstrate how virulent these attitudes are. And of course, they don't want there to be another opinion on campus, period. They certainly don't want it in the classroom. I wrote, one of the books I wrote was called One Party Classroom, and it just analyzed 150 or more syllabuses, showing that they're just programs of indoctrination. For example, at the University of California, Santa Cruz, there was a seminar described in the university catalog as the goal of this seminar is to learn how to organize a revolution. And then it goes on to tell you it's an anti-capitalist revolution. And it's not what you would think scholarship would be, which would be an analysis of revolution, what it is it, what are the positive things, what are the negative things, and so forth. It's just a course in how to organize a revolution by a Marxist. This violates all the precepts of the university's claim to uphold, and I conducted a futile 7-year campaign to get them to honor their commitments, and as they have these academic freedom provisions which say very clearly what a professional academic must do, and one of the things is not indoctrinate students, but provide them with a fair-minded presentation of different views of controversial issues. But I got nowhere with it because the faculty, of course, it's not the whole faculty, it's just the people who are organized and vocal and who run the academic senates and the American Association of University Professors, which is in effect a Stalinist organization. It's run by people who loved the Communist Party in its days, in the days when Stalin was the head of the communist empire. You know, they have a certain sophistication, so they would be horrified to be described this way, but their attitude is that, and they shut down debate. And anybody who goes to campus, any vocal conservative, on any of their volatile issues, whether it's abortion or Israel or whatever it is, needs to take a bodyguard. And that is a disgrace in a democracy. And it's also a very ominous portent of the future.
Yes. Last 30 seconds, what would you say to any person whose child is about to go to university?
Well, they should pick a big university. They should try to get their students not to go into liberal arts, because it's the liberal arts fields that are ideological. And their youngsters should identify peer groups in the university. If they're in America, it would be college Republicans, some conservative group, if only for information and for camaraderie, you know, and support, moral support.
Okay. I can't pretend it's been an uplifting and encouraging conversation, but it's always enlightening to read you and listen to you. David Horowitz, thank you so very much indeed.
Thank you.